I'm really happy to be with each of you, to those that I know very well, and to those who are my new sisters and brothers and siblings. You're going to see a little fleck of something on my hand because I want to explain it to you. At my table, I was gifted with a very important little jewel here. So when you see it flick, just know that there's positive energy going out that I'm receiving. So thank you very much to my new sisters that I just met. So the topic here is art is. Art is. It's so comprehensive and it's just so amazing that to put descriptor words on it is actually kind of disrespectful. So you're seeing with this particular presentation my thought about art being more than just what words can convey. Would you agree with me just on that point as I'm already standing up to say stuff? Okay. So the first way with which comprehensively I began to think about art in its comprehensive nature, in its most comprehensive form, is that art really is power, and it has power to do a lot of things, but most of what we want to talk about today is its healing power, its attribute, its virtue to heal. And if there's one thing that we are in the epicenter of right now, it is healing. Yeah, I come from healthcare, but healthcare isn't actually healing. It's not the same thing. So when we talk about well-being, it's a nice word too. Probably not as comprehensive as what we know. We're going to use these little artificial words, but you know what I'm getting at, right? So art is healing power. Many of you who are artists and artivists and imaginators and creatives already know how healing starts in you. And the first place that transformation and liberation begins is in us, is in the I. It is transform people who transform systems. And so thank you for the way with which you show up in your power to start with the I. Isn't that the hardest part of the work many times? Is like getting your mind and your spirit in a headspace to create? That is the work, right? That is the work. And so I'm inviting you now to think about yourself and what you need, because it is so important to the movement toward liberation, of which Deaconess is a proud supporter of helping individuals and organizations and the collective reach that place that we've never experienced before, but we believe we can, because we believe we must. And if we have our way, I'm hopeful that we can, we will realize liberation within 7 generations. No, not from starting today to 150 years. I saw your face. But I want you for a minute to think about how many of you knew your great-grandparents? How many of you knew your grandparents? How many of you definitely can identify with parents in some way, parental? And then there's you. That's at least 4 generations right there. And then you think about those who were coming ahead of you. That's at least 2 to 3, because I just believe you're going to live a long life, artists and people. That in and of itself lets you know that it's possible because of what we pass down and how we pass down. 7 generations is not a long time. So this is an impatient strategy to make sure that we can realize healing power. And we understand, even in philanthropy, we get it, that art is essential to liberation. So this is a quote that in particular I enjoyed, and as you read it, it's about connection. Have you noticed that dominant culture practices? Have you noticed that when we are stressed out, many people tend to isolate? I'm guilty of it too. When I'm overwhelmed and I know better, I can withdraw myself. And then there was this thing called the pandemic from COVID, and all of its practices to keep us safe were counter to many of our spiritual practices. As a minister, we were taught that you go to the hospital to visit, and we couldn't go. We were told that you lay hands on people because physical touch is one of the most healing modalities that there are. Whether you incant, whether you chant, whether you sing, whether you're silent, just touch in and of itself is healing. And we were told, glove up, mask up, stay separate. You can't see my facial expressions. Hand sanitize. I'm not against the practice, but go with me for a minute. We've hand sanitized so much that we give pause before we even shake hands anymore, period. Think about what that does to our psyche. Think about what it's doing with and to our children. The ones who are coming up now and didn't know that there was a before, and now there's a different way of being. So it is important when we talk about connection. And right now I want to create a sense of community, even here at this conference, that you came in one way, but you're leaving in several different ways, that you make an intentional commitment to meet people, to connect with people. I'm at a table where Spirit told some sisters, we should have been in a whole nother land, in a whole nother place, but it's something about this conference, it's something about this gathering, it's something about this commitment. I've got to be here. So you're here with intention. You could have been in 5 other places and your phone is trying to tell you to distract you from doing exactly that, right? Are you tempted? Tell the truth. Tell the truth to the pastor that's up here. Tell the truth. You're distracted, but now you are making up your mind that over the course of a few more moments, you're going to do what it takes to still your body, to get inside of it, to rest in it, and make intentional divine connections that are Spirit breathed. Capital or lowercase, however you call them out. But that's what this is about, because connection is power, and that's what we're talking about. I think we're talking about this afternoon. Let's see if I'm right. So here, one of the things with which I was asked to do is to think intersectionally about the way with which healing happens. Is there data? Is there evidence? You already know that when certain organizations slap their names on comments, it becomes truth. So I'm going to give you a little bit of that and a lot of bit of something else, okay? So we're going to make some stuff truth by some credible organizations that tell us what we already know and validate. But it's good to have the validation so that when you go out into the world, you can requote these things for the non-traditional folks. See, we're the traditional folks. We're the traditional folks. We are actually the ancient traditional people. Right? When we go out into the world with this newfangled stuff that ain't working, that dismantles us, we have what we need to make sure that they understand why we're right, because we're always right. Okay? So here's some data. Okay, here's some numbers. There's a study that's published, the Arts and Psychotherapy, that 81% of what they determine as patients, even that terminology tells you there's a medical bent. They're actually people, but we're just going to say patients because that's their language, that non-traditional language, right? 81% of the people that they cared for reported improvement in their overall psychological health after participating in art therapy sessions. We know that, but the data is beginning to affirm what spirit and intuition already knew. It's catching up with our practices, and we're glad about that. Participation in just 45 minutes. Now do this for you. Do this for you. 45 minutes of making art. Can you do it? Just 45 minutes of making art and being creative, not from here, but getting into here. For 45 minutes makes such a difference. It shows significantly decreased levels in cortisol and cancer. There's a thing, y'all. So decreasing the levels of cortisol with stress, what is associated with stress and anxiety is critical. I want you to think about your calendar. Look at it right now. Critique your calendar. Where are you going to get 45 minutes? But you need it, though. And you're worth it, though. And you're worth it. You know what dominant culture tries to do? It tries to tell us that we're not worth it, that everything else is worth it, that the needs that we're supposed to meet are more worthy than creation itself in my belly and in my voice and in my ability to imagine. You know what I learned from Rudy Nickens, who I know is also in this configuration of leadership? A free person, how you know that you are free is that you have the ability to dream. How you know you are free is you have the ability to create. You have the ability to sit in the what if. Arts is the ultimate form of that right there. And you mean to tell me you don't have 45 minutes that you can do that practice to be free? But don't be a hypocrite, because if you don't, and then you go out into the world and then you preach this message, you become disconnected from the truth yourself. And that we cannot do. That's called hypocrisy. And we are people of integrity. So you've got to, assignment from PBJ, that's what they call me in another setting, Pastor Bethany Johnson-Javois. It's too long, blah, blah, blah. So PBJ is prescribing to you, asking you to look at your calendar and let your calendar kiss you back. Audit it and let it kiss you with 45 minutes that you find to reduce your stress levels and create and dream and walk and move and imagine another world, because as we can see from this election, we're already winning. We wouldn't have resistance if it wasn't for the fact that the reality that we want is already in being. We're not what-ifing. We are living in the new reality, and we've been living in the new reality. It's the hype that tries to convince us that we're not. But I only tell the truth, so I'm telling the truth on the stage today. You can do all that too. Who told you have to be quiet? Good job, good job. Okay, you can clap, you can snap, you can amen, you can do ashe, you can do whatever you want to do right now. So there's another study of practicing lamentation in a group of African youth. And they found that in studying Psalm 3 and studying Psalm 13, and then they took that as a framework and they composed their own lamentation in their own way. And in them doing their own lamentation, asking Creator why, evoking that I'm angry, telling the truth about how I feel, being unapologetic about my pain, giving voice to how I actually think and feel, and being open to receive whatever the answer that came back to them. The studies show that these young people using their own laments engaged in behaviors that the trauma therapists, saw was biologically healing. This is a new emerging practice in South Africa, is the application of lamentation. What would it mean? How quickly would we recover if we would do communal regret for the sins of racism, regret for the way with which we have monetized bodies and labor, regret for the ways with which we have been individualized out of our communities so much? What if we decided that we, like you saw me model, could stand in the gap and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we begin anew? Some things you can't nibble around the edges, and sometimes you just got to start over. We need a genesis, y'all. We need a new beginning. And I just believe today in this past 2 days that this is the beginning of a new creation. You know why? Because there's power within each of us, because we said so. The most powerful thing that you have is the choice to decide. It's the choice to decide. So what do you decide? You want to decide liberation, then we get liberation. You want to decide it's too hard and there's the 5 excuses as to why we can't, then you in the stuck place. I won't go with you, but you'll be in the stuck place. But we have the power to decide, and art is the most persuasive instrument out there to help persuade people when words don't work. You believe me? I know, because you're living it. The last one I want to say on this is a second study. There's a second study that talks about how in COVID time frame, we're still kind of in that. That's why I'm going to this, because it was 2019, but we haven't survived it, and we're not through it, and we haven't recovered. It will take generations. It will. So just accept that, because we're working up against that. But this study talked about how the interruption of COVID-19 to African collective bereavement traditions, like wailing, like lamentation, like shaking, like singing, these rituals and being distant from them negatively impacted the healing journey of grieving individuals. If you tell the truth, aren't we all grieving about something? And we get 3 days max in our policies to go to the funeral and get over it and get back to work. We need to challenge that. Grieving. And get in touch with that. Therapy is good. Music is good. These are therapy modalities that we're doing. But in your eye, I'm going to ask you, is there a part of you that has held back the grieving and lamentation process, and you are incomplete and unwell because you won't allow spirit to confront you with the kiss of, baby, you're not well. You've got some mourning because you're missing some things. And it's okay. And there will be community that will hold you up and uphold you in that space. That's community. That's why I'm bringing this, because I know that this crowd, this audience, can handle it. Spirituality and healing. I just want to show all people and beliefs can gather, whether you are a-religious, not religious, somewhat religious. Just the fact that you have breath, you are spiritual. And all of us have spiritual practices we can gather together. In addition to meditation that we know is effective, in addition to yoga practices, by the way, if you talk to people in other countries, they say that what we do is not yoga, that we are actually bastardizing what is actually yoga practices. What we're doing is stretching and breathing. So I want to respect the places with which that actually comes from and just say stretching and breathing, okay? We'll call that somatic. It works. We know that it works. And I also want to share, because we usually leave this out, that prayer too, in addition to meditation, in addition to breath work, reduces depression and anxiety. The point is, however you enter, you cannot go wrong. Yep. There's a link between frequent prayer, meditation, breath work, intentional mindfulness, and lowering your blood pressure. It makes us less reactive to negative emotions. Wow. I can stop overreacting if I just do a little. Good, right? Anger, number one killer. I'm almost there. And someone who engages with the Bible, but think about your sacred text. If you engage with your sacred text 4 or more times a week, it's 30% less likely to struggle with loneliness. 45 minutes of artistic expression, 4 times a week engaging with sacred texts. Here's your prescription. So, this is how I'm going to end it. Art will be. I got 10 minutes. What am I tripping off of? Art will be. This is practicing prophetic imagination. It means that what you speak out of your mouth, you believe it so powerfully that the world organizes to bring it to pass. Some call it faith. I want us to practice it now. Turn to your table, family. That's your family now. And I want you to express with prophetic imagination what art will become. It can be one word, it can be a sentence. But in the power you have, come on now, access right here. Don't get heady on me, I see your face. First thing that comes up and out. Art will be, go. Yes. In the future. Yes. Okay, now your answers are boring, so I want you to take it up a notch. Art will be healing. No. I want you to speak prophetically about the highest potential of art. Go. There you go. Yeah. Art will be. Art will be. Now speak it into your realm. Under your locus of control, art will be what? With what you can control. Art will be. Yes. All right. Give me your best answers that you heard on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we're releasing it into the atmosphere. I'm not convinced you believe what you said. So say it again. 1, 2, 3. Art will be. All of that. Come on, all of that. Keep saying it. What else you got? Okay. Yes. Now, let me tell you what you just did. You just, with your faith posture, with your belief posture, with your power, you just planted seeds for the next 7 generations. And now this whole environment has to conspire to be what you just declared. Now clap your hands on that. Because that's power. That's power. It only works if you believe it. I believe it. I know. She said, I know it. And so here, health systems are designed in such a way that they disintegrate people. I worked for the Integrated Health Network. My whole job was to make disintegrated systems act right some more of the time for people. But systems by design, no, they didn't fail. No, they didn't make a mistake. By design, systems are created to disintegrate and devolve people. But what if art got in and disrupted that in love? Because art is love. And love is the greatest power over every power that there is. Okay, thank you. So what if systems were designed to hold sacred the integration of the mind, body, and soul? What if they were? That's what I'm employed for. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm speaking to you. And that's what we're going to achieve with every breath we have in our bodies. We are unlearning some things. We are recreating, because it's a creative spirit. We are recreating systems designed for and by and with us in mind. And they are manifesting in the earth. And some of you are the ones doing that work. The arts offer relief, remedy, and a path to restoration to make us whole. Big charge, but it works. That's what we do. And so in closing, art is liberation. Art, the broadest form of it, is liberation. And now this is powerful, but only say it if you believe it. Put your hand wherever you're most comfortable about yourself. For me, this is my spot. I want you to say, I am, liberation. I am transformation. I am worthy. I am healing. I am connected. I am peace. Oh, did you feel that? One more time. I am. Let that C go long. Peace. We are beloved community. We are more than enough. Look around. This is your catalytic family now. This only works if the transformation in you catches fire to the transformation in everyone else. I think I did my job. I think I'm on assignment and I did my job. So I'm going to stop there. Favor and blessings. Thank you very much for your time.